This is a May Luna Media production.
Welcome to the Synaptic Soul Podcast, where science meets spirit and they totally make out. I'm Ava Marie Anderson, your quantum-loving, spiritually savage bestie, here to prove your energy isn't mystical, it is measurable. And oh, quick heads up, if you hear snoring or grunting or a dramatic sigh mid-download, that is not a ghost in the machine. It's just my Frenchie co-hosts, Rocky and Rambo, vibing at their own frequency. Let's dive in. Let's drop into why December hits differently, and it's not just emotionally and it's not just spiritually, but biologically and cosmically and ancestrally. This time of the year isn't just festive, it's liminal. It is the threshold between cycles, the pause between breaths, and the quiet inhale before the universe exhales something new into your life. And whether you're spiritual or scientific or simply somebody who keeps accidentally doing a full life review in the shower at 11 p.m., you feel this season in your bones because it's wired into the human system. But let's start with the biology, because you know that I love reminding you that your mystical feelings are actually measurable. So as the days shorten and the sunlight weakens, your circadian rhythm shifts into introspection mode. Your melatonin rises, your cortisol curve softens, and your entire body starts whispering, go inward. Like, this isn't you being lazy or tired or dramatic. It's literally your hypothalamus receiving fewer photons and telling your nervous system, we are entering the dark season. It is time to restore and reflect and rebuild. And humans have forgotten that we are seasonal animals, but your cells have not. Your mitochondria, those ancient bacterial ancestors living inside of your body, they absolutely know what time of year it is. And then there's your nervous system. During this darker season, the parasympathetic system, the one that governs rest and reflection and deep processing, it naturally becomes more active. Your body wants warmth and stillness and slowness. Your mind wants meaning. Your heart wants closure. This is why unresolved emotions start surfacing and old memories rise like ghosts asking to be integrated. Like, your biology is doing a spiritual review, whether your conscious mind signed up for it or not. And now, let's layer in the quantum and energetic side, because this is where it actually gets delicious. So, low-light environments heighten our intuitive bandwidth. Ancient people did not need neuroscience journals to understand this. They lived close to the land, they felt the cycles, and they structured entire spiritual calendars around this corridor of darkness. And what we know now through brainwave studies is that darkness increases theta activity. It's that same brainwave state associated with meditation and creativity and dreams and psychic openings and spiritual downloads. So if you feel more intuitive in December, like more connected and more porous and more sensitive, that's not seasonal depression. It's seasonal perception. Like, our ancestors understood something that we have forgotten. Darkness is a portal, not a problem. In nearly every culture, this time of year is when the veil thins, not in the Halloween sense, but in the inner sense. The unseen becomes louder, your inner world becomes sharper, your dreams become messages, and your body becomes the altar. And across thousands of years, humans around the world all chose this exact window for rituals and storytelling and initiations and divination and year-end ceremonies because the energy supports it. There's something about these long nights and slow dawns that pulls the soul inward and upward at the same time. It's the sacred hinge between who you have been and who you are becoming. So if December makes you feel reflective and emotional and intuitive and restless and hopeful and overwhelmed or just deeply inspired, it's not a personal glitch. It's the collective human operating system syncing with the season's code. It's the universal software update that runs whether or not you press install. Like, this is the liminal portal, the pause and the threshold, and stepping into it consciously is what makes this time not just holy, but transformative. Here's the thing that nobody tells you when you're growing up in whatever cultural bubble that you happen to land in. Humans everywhere, across every continent, timeline, empire, and ancestral lineage, made this exact time of the year holy. Like independently, without texting each other, without Pinterest, without TikTok telling them what aesthetic their altar should be. They all just felt something in the corridor of the year that created rituals around it. And when billions of humans across millennia all agree on something, then that is not just coincidence. That is collective spiritual muscle memory. But let's talk about the obvious thread first, like the light festivals. As soon as the natural world dimmed, humans responded by creating their own light, like physically and symbolically and spiritually. Like take Hanukkah, the festival of lights, rooted in the miracle of oil lasting longer than it should. It's a story not just about survival, but about divine continuity when resources seemed low. It's literally a ritual about the light returning against impossible odds. And then there's Yule, the ancient Norse and Germanic celebration that predates basically all modern winter holidays. Like Yule is all about the evergreen magic, the bonfires, honoring ancestors, and calling the sun back from its deepest descents. Early Europeans weren't just decorating trees to be cute, they were participating in a cosmic ritual that said life continues even in the dark, and they weren't alone. Across the ancient world, civilizations anchored major ceremonies around this season. The Romans held Saturnalia. It's a chaotic and joyful and role-reversing festival that symbolized the breakdown of the old order before the world is reborn with the sun's return. It was like the original spiritual rave. And then the Persians celebrated Yalda Night, basically honoring the longest night of the year with poetry and pomegranates and staying awake to witness the rebirth of light. And then the Inca honored Inti Raymi. It's celebrating the sun god and the turning of the cosmic wheel. And then the Maya aligned temples and pyramids with the solstice sun, literally building architecture designed to capture this holy moment. And then you have Diwali, which doesn't always fall in December, but it sits in this broader season of darkness giving way to light. The theme is identical. It's illumination triumphs over shadow. Humans felt this rhythm long before they put it in religious texts. And don't forget the Dongsha festival in China, which celebrates the return of the positive yang energy as the sun begins its slow climb back towards strength. Like families gather, food is shared, ancestors are honored, and the energetic tide begins to turn. So, across indigenous cultures, from the Americas to Australia, solstice ceremonies were used to honor the ancestors and thank the land and mark the turning of the great cosmological clock. Like, they weren't just cute traditions. These were survival codes and spiritual technologies and community coherence rituals anchored in astronomical observation. And here's where the science meets spirit happens. The sun reaches its lowest arc in the sky. Our ancestors didn't just feel that symbolically. They measured it. Like, ancient cultures tracked solstices with shadows and stones and pyramids and temples and ice patterns and stars and literally everything. Like, early humans were astronomers long before they were farmers. They built their mythologies on cosmic precision. So when the sun hits its minimal light output, humans instinctively gather and reflect and feast and pray and celebrate because our bodies feel the shift in photoreception, in the serotonin levels, and in the circadian rhythm. And spiritually, the light's return symbolized hope. Biologically, it symbolized survival. So when you see lights on in houses and candles on altars and glowing windows in every city and village on Earth right now, remember, you are participating in one of the oldest human rituals on the planet. Like we all are. Every culture, every lineage is all calling the light back. Alright, quick break from the cosmic truths. Let's talk about something deliciously messy, my book. For the Plot, coming spring 2026, is what happens when heartbreak turns holy and your healing era gets its own plot twist. This is not your typical self-help book. It is part memoir, part fiction, and fully feral. A love letter to the women who burned down the old version of themselves and rose up with better boundaries and hotter taste. It's raw, it's funny, it's spiritual awakening and stilettos, equal parts tears, tequila, and transformation. So if you've ever whispered, at least it's good for the plot while your life was on fire, this one's for you. For the Plot coming spring 2026. Get on the list now at avamarieanderson.com. All right, let's talk about something delicious. Like, sacredness isn't just a vibe, it is a neurological event. Like, your brain's not passive in December, it is actively tagging this season as important, like capital I, in ways that most people don't even realize. Like, we tend to think of it as holy, as something handed down from religion or tradition, but the truth is far more intimate. Like, sacredness is created inside of the human brain. It is a pattern, a recognition loop, a biological state that unfolds when enough layers of meaning and memory and emotional weight converge at the same time. And December, with its darkness and its rituals and its collective energy and its massive symbolic closure, is basically hitting every psychological lever that we've got. So first up is your brain. It's a meaning-making machine. That is literally its job. You are constantly scanning your environment for patterns and significance because that is how humans navigate the world. So when the entire planet starts performing synchronized rituals like decorating and gathering and lighting candles and slowing down and reflecting, your mirror neurons register it. Like, you feel the weight of the collective attention, even if you're not consciously tuning into it. It's like spiritual Wi-Fi. When billions of people log on at the same time, the signal gets stronger. And then there's neurochemistry. Like, during this season, nostalgia ramps up because your limbic system is triggered by sensory cues. It's cold air, certain foods, familiar music, specific lighting, year-end reflection. Those cues activate emotional memory centers, especially the hippocampus and the amygdala. This is why December feels like an emotional scrapbook that you didn't realize you were still carrying around. But here's the magic twist. Emotional activation paired with ritual creates coherent states. And heart math research shows that when the heart enters coherence, that smooth, harmonized rhythm, intuition becomes sharper and emotional clarity increases, and the body hits a measurable state of alignment, really. So, translation, that holy feeling is literally your nervous system syncing with itself, and it gets better. Like, the brain loves temporal landmarks, these psychological signposts that mark the end of one identity chapter and the beginning of another. Your brain uses these markers to reorganize your self-concept. So when we approach the end of the year, your mind instinctively says, enter life audit mode. It's trying to figure out, who have I been? Who am I becoming? What did this chapter teach me? Do I still even like the characters in my show? Should I cancel some contracts, energetic or otherwise? And temporal landmarks make humans more likely to create resolutions and break patterns and initiate change or release the old self. It's not just cultural conditioning, it is cognitive reorganization. Now let's bring in quantum physics. Lightly, lovingly, and without being the spiritual girly at the party who corners you about string theory. So, in the quantum lens, attention is an organizing force. When billions of people put their focus on closure and renewal and hope and gratitude and release and light, the probability field shifts. So collective intention literally creates a measurable energetic environment. The air feels different because it is different. Consciousness interacts with consciousness, and ancestors, they adore this season. So when humans pause and soften and reflect and open, ancestral memory fields become more active. So epigenetically, winter was historically the season where families gathered and stories were told and lineages were honored and wisdom was passed down. Those memories live in your blood. They inform your instincts. You're not imagining the pull toward old photographs or family patterns or generational healing. Like, it's truly just the season. So here's the punchline. Sacredness is not something outside of you. It is not something bestowed on this season by religion or capitalism or culture. It is something that your brain and your body and your lineage and your energy field co-create. Like, December doesn't just feel holy, it is holy because humans make it holy. And when billions of brains agree that something matters, the universe pays attention. You know how everybody loves to say love and light? Yeah, but what about the black holes? Like, this is where Morgan Garza comes in, the shadow work queen herself. Her podcast, Love, Light, and Black Holes, is where mysticism meets the messy middle. Morgan dives into the real work, the grief, the rage, and the rebirths, and somehow makes it sound like a damn revolution. So if you're ready to stop spiritually bypassing and actually integrate your darkness, go check out Love, Light, and Black Holes with Morgan Garza, available wherever you listen. If December had an archetype, it would be the cosmic phoenix. It's the part of the mythic cycle where everything goes dark and the world holds its breath, and then slowly the light returns. And here's what's wild. Every single culture across time built their mythologies around this exact seasonal moment. Not because they were all copying each other, but because the pattern is universal. Like, the earth does this, the sun does this, the nervous system does this, and the collective soul of humanity has been watching this cosmic theater long enough to understand that this is the season where endings and beginnings overlap. But let's start with Egypt because, the Egyptians were basically the original astrophysicists. So Ra, the sun god, was believed to die every night and be reborn every morning, but during the solstice, that cycle took on cosmic significance. Like, the sun was at its weakest point, and the rebirth became mythologized as the turning point for the entire world. Like, darkness wasn't feared, it was honored as the womb of creation. And then we have the Greeks and the myths of Persephone, whose basically descent into the underworld corresponded with the dying of the world and whose return signaled renewal. And while her story is more tied to spring cycles, the archetypal essence mirrors what we are experiencing in the deep winter corridor. The descent into shadow, the stillness, the waiting, and then the eventual rise back into the light. And then the Romans had Saturnalia, which wasn't just a party, it was an intentional breakdown of order. Like, roles reversed, slaves dined as masters, rules dissolved, and the chaos was celebrated as a necessary precursor to renewal. Like, Saturnalia embodied the idea that you must disrupt the old before the new can be born. And if that sounds familiar, if your life feels like things are unraveling in December, you're not cursed, you're just syncing with an ancient archetypal pattern. And let's not forget the Norse. Like, in Norse cosmology, winter was always tied to endings and prophecy and cosmic recalibration. Like, this was the season where seers and shamans did the deep work, where the veil thinned and where the world seemed to hover between what was and what would be. Even Ragnarok, the myth of the destruction and renewal, mirrors the energetic blueprint of solstice. The world breaks so that a new one can emerge. And then even Christianity layered the story of Jesus' birth onto the solstice because the symbolism was just too perfect. It's the return of light, hope entering the world, divinity incarnate as the darkest point of the year. Like, it wasn't an arbitrary date. It was chosen to align with the oldest spiritual motif that humanity has, which is when all seems darkest, the light is being born. And now here's where psychology jumps in. The death-rebirth cycle is not just a myth. It is encoded into the human psyche. Carl Jung talked about this as an archetype, something universal and instinctive and inherited. Your brain understands this pattern even if you have never studied mythology. In the winter season, your subconscious naturally enters the descent. It's releasing and reviewing and integrating and letting go. And the inner world becomes louder. Your old identities start dissolving and the ego gets quieter. And then slowly, subtly, the rebirth impulse stirs. You feel the faint spark of hope. You start imagining who you want to become. Ideas emerge, clarity rises, inspiration returns. It's the same pattern that exists in trauma healing, or like a spiritual awakening, or even just a nervous system regulation, and even just cellular regeneration. Like, life always moves from contraction to expansion, from darkness to light, and from death to rebirth. Quantum physics gives us another layer. Contraction precedes coherence. Before a system reorganizes into a higher state, it destabilizes. It collapses into the void so that it can reemerge as something truer. The solstice season is literally the cosmos performing that same transformation, and your body and your energy field and your intuition, they all feel it. So, if December feels like an ending that you didn't consent to and a beginning that you are not fully ready for, congratulations. You are right on schedule. This is the universal myth playing out through you. You ever wish your spiritual practice came with a push notification? Same. That is why I live on the Sage app. It's like a digital mystery school and a self-care sanctuary had a baby. You'll find rituals, live classes, moon circles, and daily practices from some of the most badass teachers in the spiritual space. And yeah, I'm one of them. I host the live new moon manifestation clubs, plus courses and activations that blend neuroscience, quantum mechanics, and ancient magic. It's basically science with a side of witchcraft. So come hang with me live on the next new moon inside Sage. Download the app in the App Store or Google Play, and let's just get your energy right and your rituals tight and your frequency lit. Here's the thing about the end of the year. Even if you are the most non-traditional, non-religious, non-holiday human alive, you still feel it. And that's because this it basically functions like a global energetic reset button, a collective Control-Alt-Delete for the soul. So every culture, every calendar, every civilization across time has placed some version of an ending or beginning here. Whether the official New Year is in January, spring, fall, late winter, or tied to the moon cycles, the world treats this corridor as a liminal hinge between chapters, and that collective attention shapes the energy field more than people realize. So let's just start with the Western New Year on January 1st. Like, yes, it's technically arbitrary, and no, Julius Caesar didn't consult an astrologer the way he should have, and yes, astrologers will forever remind you that the true astrological New Year begins with Aries season, not popping champagne while Ryan Seacrest screams into a microphone. But here's the thing. Billions of people pour intention, reflection, hope, expectation, ritual, and meaning into this date. That creates a massive temporal landmark, a psychological pivot point that your brain uses to reorganize its identity. Behavioral science shows that humans are significantly more likely to initiate change and break habits and set goals, or just release old patterns during temporal landmarks. And January 1st is the biggest landmark that we have as a collective species. But other cultures honor different cycles, and all of them still encode this season with meaning. So witches celebrate their new year at Samhain, the thinning of the veil, in late October. Astrologers celebrate their new year at the spring equinox. It's that first spark of life after a winter's contraction. Jewish New Year happens in the fall. Chinese New Year lands in late winter, just before the first energetic stirrings of spring. Ancient Egyptians aligned their New Year with the flooding of the Nile. Persians celebrated Nowruz at the vernal equinox, and yet, even with all of these variations, most cultures still place their ritual of closure or their ritual of renewal somewhere in this exact multi-week corridor surrounding the solstice. Why? Because the cosmos makes it easy. The winter solstice is the turning point where the sun begins increasing its strength again, even if we can't feel it. Like, the light literally returns, and humans, being the light-sensitive creatures with emotional wiring that respond to solar rhythms, well, we have always intuitively synced our spiritual calendars to this cosmic shift. And Here's where quantum physics swirls into the mix like glitter in a snow globe. Collective attention collapses probability. I'm going to say that again. Collective attention collapses probability. When billions of humans focus on renewal, rebirth, intention setting, forgiveness, hope, and change, the field coheres. The energy becomes malleable. Probability lines soften. You can shift timelines more easily because the collective field is already bending in that direction. Now, imagine 7 billion people exhaling the old year out of their bodies at once. Imagine 7 billion nervous systems preparing for something new. That is not metaphorical. That is energetic infrastructure. Humans create the very thing that we think we're responding to. January 1st feels powerful because we make it powerful. And here's the cosmic kicker. Even if you don't consciously participate in New Year's rituals, your subconscious still registers the shift. Like, you absorb the emotion in the collective field. You feel the psychological pause. You enter that in-between place where time loses meaning and days blend together, and you can't tell if you're becoming a new version of yourself or you're just losing track of your laundry. Like, that confusion, that softness, and that quiet, that is the reset. So when people say the new year doesn't matter or it's just another day, I laugh because energetically it absolutely matters. Anything billions of humans believe in becomes real on the quantum level. This season is the hinge and the turning and the sacred in-breath before the next exhale of your life. The universe built you a reset button. You just have to press it. You have been listening to the Synaptic Soul podcast, where science meets spirit and they totally make out. If this episode hit your frequency, do me a favor, rate it, review it, and share it with your fellow quantum weirdos. It helps the wavelength reach more souls. And if you caught a little snoring, that wasn't a portal, just my Frenchies Rocky and Rambo offering background blessings. Music is Cheat Code by 1,000 Hands, used under Creative Commons. And I am Ava Marie Anderson. Stay weird, stay wired, and keep making out with your higher self.